Hey guys, my guest tonight, Brenda Harvey Harris, is going to be talking about mysterious Bigfoot encounters. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope you say great. I'm doing great. It's kind of overcast day today here in California, but you know what? It's warming up. After today, we're going to get rain tonight and a little bit tomorrow, and it is going to be up in the 70s. We're going to hit 76 this week. Real excited. I think this is the turn to spring. I'm stoked. I'm doing yard work and running around like crazy. I've got my front yard almost done. Going to be doing the backyard, getting ready, and set up my aloha in the yard so I can go out there and meditate and do all the fun stuff I do in the evenings when I'm not here on the air with you guys. By the way, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you have a paranormal issue, we can get to you. The issue is California is this huge state, and it may take us a little while to get to you, but we'll do that. It may take no longer than 2 days, though. And in the case that it does take 2 days, we will have a psychic from our team call you, and if it is a paranormal situation, they can, in most cases, calm things down until we can get out there to help you out. So, yeah, that's how we operate. If you want to find us, look for us on Facebook. We are all over Facebook. California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, California Haunts Radio. Also, just Google us and you'll find us. We do have a meetup site, California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team meetup as well, where you can find us. In fact, speaking of the meetup site, I'm starting a new feature, and I'm going to be doing this at least twice a month. It's called Coffee with the Ghost, Morning Coffee with the Ghost Hunter. And right now we're doing mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific, I think 9:30 a.m. Pacific, and it's going to start Thursday. And what this is that it's a one-on-one with me. So instead of being in this kind of format where you guys are asking questions in the chat room, you could be one-on-one with me asking questions, and I will do my best to answer your paranormal questions. And if I don't have an answer for you, I'll find it, and then I'll get back to you. But this is like a kind of convenient, one-on-one thing. A lot of newspaper editors do this to talk to their, to talk to their constituents out there. So hopefully you guys will sign up for that. There should be a link at the bottom of the description of this show. If not, just cruise on over to the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team meetup page, and you can sign up there to do it. It's $5, and if we go to Starbucks, you're going to spend that on a cup of coffee anyway. Plus, you'll get all the background noise and all that. This way, we'll be on StreamYard. I got 9 spaces open, and we'll just sit there and have a nice chat. You can wear your fuzzy wuzzies or your robe or whatever you want to wear, and we can enjoy each other's company. And I've been doing this for 18 years, so you can pick my brain for info. Okay, that being said, if you're watching from Facebook tonight, and a lot of you are, please feel free to follow if you like what you see and hear tonight. We're always looking for followers. Also, if you see that heart up there, somebody's left me a happy heart. Please feel free to leave me a happy heart, thumbs up, happy face, because what that does is that puts us up higher in Facebook's FYP, which distributes us out to more people. And the key is, right, to get out to more people to see the show. If you're home with somebody and they're not watching the show and you think they might be interested in tonight's show, say, hey, there's this little show out of Sacramento that you ought to check out. Bring them on over and see if they like it, right? Same thing for YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet and you like what you see in here tonight, please feel free to subscribe. We're trying to reach that big goal of 1,000 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer and inching. And we can only do that with your help and your subscriptions. I'm also very active on the YouTube community page. I'll put polls out there and different things like that. So feel free to do that. And again, show us some love, give us some thumbs up, some happy faces, some hearts, because YouTube operates the same way. So does Twitch. Twitch operates the same way. TikTok operates the same way. All right. Okay, that being said, I'm done with that. See, that was quick. Got right through that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a topic that I am absolutely fascinated with. I actually, my family actually owned a home in Northern California, and we lived probably about 30 minutes out of Happy Camp. And for people that study Sasquatch and know the stories, Happy Camp is a hotbed area for Sasquatch sightings. So there are a lot of researchers up there, and I have had the opportunity to meet with some. I've seen footprints firsthand, and things like that. And there's one cafe in town, and everybody comes in from doing their research, and everybody meets at the cafe. So I used to hang out there just to hear the stories. Tonight, my guest, Brenda Harvey Harris, has firsthand stories of encounters with Sasquatch, and she's got a message for everybody. And one of her messages is how to not aggravate these creatures. That's part of it, but I'll let her explain it all to you. So let's bring her in, and away we go. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear
I'm
you.
doing good. And you?
I'm good. I'm good. Tell us about you.
Awesome. Well, I am a Navajo, a full-blood Navajo. I live in on the reservation out here in New Mexico.
Hmm.
I live in a community that is called Upper Fruitland. I
Hmm.
was born in Shiprock, New Mexico, and raised in Farmington, New Mexico, and now I reside here in Upper Fruitland. I've been here for about 38 years now on the reservation. And so it's been how can I put it? Interesting to say. Just some of the things that we've come across or I've come across here on the reservation.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I'm a mother of three kids and I work a lot on the farm. So I do a lot of gardening, just like what you were saying earlier, work the
Hmm.
yard and all. So we're just getting ready for another season of planning and stuff. And so that's what we've been working on the past few days now, now that we got some decent weather, so we've been kind of working on that. And
Absolutely.
also been doing Bigfoot research for, oh, geez, it's been a long time. Probably about 30, 35. I would say about 37 years now. So it's been a road. I tell you what, it's been very interesting and kind of gets creepy here and there, But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I have a small team that we ever since the COVID we kind of put things aside, until all this stuff
Hmm.
passes, and hopefully this summer we'll get back out there and do some more investigations. But in the meantime, since then, since the COVID thing, I've been still out and about, checking some areas and getting reports of Bigfoot here and there, So I still, I still go out, but then at the same time, just got to be really careful, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, my paranormal team is kind of
Excuse
in the
me.
same state you are. We're just starting to get back together on stuff and just starting to get back out. It's been like
Yeah,
life took over, and then
that,
you just have to get back
yeah.
in that flow of things.
Oh yeah, that's so true. Yeah,
So, how did you
it's
get
not.
interested in Bigfoot?
Well, at a very young age, as a matter of fact, probably, oh geez, let's say maybe not 8, 9 years old or something like that. Always hear about uh, s- this hairy monster or something. Always wanted to know what it was.
Hmm.
So as the years went by, and got to actually know what this thing was, I was like, oh wow. I always heard that these things, oh, they see them in the mountains,
Hmm.
but I'm like, okay, here in the mountains, that's where they live, and I guess that's where they stay. At a young age, that's what I thought. But we have this river that's called the San Juan River and Animas River. Well, I guess they've been hanging around down in them areas during that time, and I had no idea. And so from that young of an age is when I started, I wanted to know more.
Mhm.
You know, of course, I didn't say anything to my parents or my brothers and sisters about it. I kept it real, just real quiet
Mhm.
and without them knowing that I was really looking into this stuff. And so, boy, I tell you what, from back then to now, it's been it's been crazy and then scary at times. But seeing, okay, let me kind of
Sure.
go back to when I was, I must have been 8 or 9, and I've shared this story many times of um, how like you asked how and when did you get started in this?
Uh-huh.
I just started at a young age, and my mom and dad used to always take us out to Arizona to go see my grandma, and
Mhm.
it was during the summertime in um, back then we had a truck, and so my dad had put a camper on there, so he kind of like made a makeshift bed in the back, right, so us kids could sleep in the back. Well, when we're sleeping back then, we go on our way, and um, little did my mom and dad know that I was still awake, and he would always tell us kids, "You guys go to sleep in the back, and we'll wake you up when we get to Grandma's house." It's about a 3-hour drive,
Mhm.
from Farmington to where we need to go. And so I'm like, okay, but like I said, mom and dad didn't know I was still awake, but they would listen to the Navajo hour during those times, and I would listen to this lady. She would say, "Don't go to the river at night. There's a monster down there." And so I said, "Monster?" So I asked my mom and dad, "What is she talking about? There's a monster down there." And they would say, "Oh," and my dad would say, "Oh, it's nothing. Just go to sleep, and we'll wake you up when we get to Grandma's." So throughout the summertime, each time when they would be listening to the Navajo hour, 2 weeks would go by and we'd be on the road again. And the same thing, she would say, "Don't go down to the river. There's a Yaitso down there. Yaitso down there." I'm like, "What is that?" Again, I would ask, and, "Oh, it's nothing. Just go to sleep." And so like the third, fourth time, and this time she said a name. Don't go down to the river, the San Juan River. There's a Sasquatch down there,
Mhm.
and I'm like, what is a Sasquatch? And, that really, it just really um, caught my ears. I'm like, what is that? So again, I would ask my parents, and oh no, it's nothing. Just go to sleep. I'm like, man, I want to know, what is she talking about? First she says a monster, and then there's a Yaitso, Maitso, and now there's a Sasquatch. And I'm like, okay, what is this? So there was another time that when we were on our way again, somewhere in between Farmington and Kirtland, New Mexico,
Mhm.
we're on our way. Oh, geez, and all of a sudden, my dad he slams on the brake. I'm like, whoa, what was that? And I just hear my mom, yeah, yeah, what was that? Did you see that? It ran in front of us on 2 legs. What was that? And I'm like, what was it? Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. Just go to sleep. So, from that point on, I that's when I really wanted to know what is she talking about? What is this thing?
Mhm.
So as the years went by into my teens, and then I went to the movie. There was a movie that was called The Legend of Boggy Creek. So
Okay.
everybody knows this movie, right?
Right.
So I went and watched this movie. At the beginning of the movie, how the old guys are talking.
Mhm.
Well, there was a name that the guy said, and he said Sasquatch. And when he said that name, I'm like, hey, I remember that name. That lady on the Navajo Hour said Sasquatch. I'm like, okay, what is this Sasquatch? So of course the movie goes on and on, and all of a sudden I see this big old hairy creature. I'm like, that's what they're talking about. I'm like, oh my God, that's at the river? Oh, I'm like, I'm not going to the river. I didn't know that that's what was. hanging down there, at the river. And I always would hear people say, "Yeah, there's those what they call Bigfoot, Sasquatch. They're out in the mountains. They usually stay up there." I'm like, "Well, what is it doing down here at the river?" And so it was, right down that time is when I started really wanting to know more.
Mhm.
So it goes back to my childhood. That's when I started looking into it more.
Now, as you got older, like you said, once you started looking into it more, what what did you find out?
That it makes, like it goes to some people's homes,
Hmm.
like hits the window or yells, or always would hear that this thing would kill their animals, and it just hangs around different people's areas, especially down the farmland along the river. And from what I had gathered was the reason why they were down at the river is, there's water. So
Makes
that's
sense.
something for them to drink. Then also you got fish. So that's a food source. And
Hmm.
then also you got more food down there, which is deer, wildlife that like to hang around the rivers because, they drink water.
Hmm.
So when this thing comes around, hey, there's all the food and all the water it needs. And so that's the reason why it would hang down at the river. And I was like, okay. So, I found that out, that. And then also, like I said, the only time it seemed like it would attack an animal and eat it
Hmm.
is during the fall time, when there's no more, like all the harvest. Like they like the corn, the melons and
Hmm.
some of the veggie stuff they like. They
Hmm.
When all the harvest is done and there's no more of that, well,
Hmm.
then that's when they start going after other things, which it would be like chickens and ducks and small livestock breed too.
Hmm.
And yeah, and so those are things that I have found out, and also they really like to watch the people. They like to listen and hear the music or laughter. When they hear stuff like that, they seem to come in more and they want to kind of like, hey, what's going on over here? So they'll come
Hmm.
a little bit closer, but enough to where us people can't see them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so they really like to observe the women and the children. Why? Not sure why, but they do. And so I've always told the ladies out here to be really careful out there because they are watching, and the kids as well too. They like to hear the noises, and once people make noises, they come in a little bit closer to see what's going on. Or even if you're having a cookout, the smell of the food that draws them in as well. So I
Hmm.
always tell the ladies, be really careful if you have to go out there, or if you're out there working in the field on the farm, be really careful because they are there.
Hmm. One thing that saying that I'm not going to say what book I read, but it was a book to join a particular Sasquatch investigation group. Okay,
Hmm.
and one of the things that kind of turned me off about doing it was what you're just about what you're talking about right there, is that one of the things that they talked about doing was the guys would hide in the bushes, and this
Hmm.
is like in the middle of the night, and so as a woman you would walk alone down this road
Hmm.
with the guys hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, they send you up. You're the bait.
Yeah, essentially the bait. I just thought,
Hmm.
no, I don't care what you guys do, not happening. So that was a big turnoff for me because I mean you're just asking for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Why they would do that is crazy
Yeah,
because yeah, they could be standing and hiding in the bushes. And yeah, if something happens, we'll come grab you. They don't understand how fast this thing can move.
right.
It'll move so fast that it'll take them some time to get to you. That's pretty dangerous for them to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing that.
I thought that was kind of crazy, kind of
Yeah, it
crazy.
is. Not cool.
And the stories that you've heard, I mean, has anybody really had close contact with them at all, or no, or is it usually just kind of, off at a distance?
No, we've had a lot that I've gotten a lot of reports of these things actually coming to the house, either hitting the windows or looking in the windows.
Hmm.
Also, a lot of the people would hear heavy breathing or like growling right at the window, you know, or it would turn the doorknob. And so
That's
we've had a family that lives out in Crown Point, New Mexico.
mm-hmm.
This thing actually walked into the house. So those are some of the encounters that the people have had in different parts of on the reservation. So yeah, there's people that see him from a distance, but the close-up ones, like the encounters where it walks into the house, that's really scary, you know. What did it want? I don't know. The husband and wife, they were terrified. They're like, oh my God, what's it want? I mean, they're looking at it, it's standing there, and
Hmm.
they like try to shush it out, and how they did it, I don't know, but this thing ran out. They said it took off. It happened to another family as well. That really freaked them out. They're like, what does it want? What is it? Why is it coming in?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's beyond me. I don't have really an answer for that. What does it want? I mean, I've had one that we've kind of experienced almost something like that, but it didn't come into the house, thank God. I had little kids there too, so
Hmm.
um, what it wanted to this day, I don't know.
Can you tell me
Uh,
about the experience?
sure. It was my kids. I had my son and my daughter at the time. I believe they were 6 and 5, if I remember right. And this happened in the summertime, and my husband had went to work. He was at the time he used to work at the mine, and he
Hmm.
was working the graveyard shift. So he left the house about 10:30 at night. And so me and the kids' cousin from next door, they came when they, spent the night with the kids. And everybody's just laughing. So husband leaves at 10:30. 30 minutes later, about 11 o'clock, I hear the dogs. We had, I believe it was like 3 dogs. And at the time we lived in a mobile home, and we had a porch. So, and I had all the bedroom and the living room windows were open, and the curtains were open. And so, kids are all playing and all, just having a good time. And all of a sudden, I hear the dogs really whimpering, crying like they were scared of something. I'm like, what in the world? No, about probably 10 minutes later or so, something. All of a sudden, I hear um, uh, gravel being moved, and like something was stepping on the
Hmm.
gravel, and I could hear it. I'm like, what in the world? So, and at the same time, the dogs are really crying, whimpering, and I'm like, I looked out the window. I didn't see anything, but I'm like, where are the dogs? Well, I realized that the dogs were underneath the porch crying. So I'm like, oh, okay, there's something out there. And then I would hear heavy steps, something walking on the gravel. And I'm like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden, I could hear it walking onto the porch. A lot of porches, they squeak and make noise, right?
Right, right,
And
right.
so I hear squeaking sound on something's walking on the porch. And I
Hmm.
could hear this thing, something grab the screen door and open it. And I told my kids, and at the time I had my brother there. He, pretty young, my one of my young brothers there, and So I told the kids, be quiet. And I like, you know, you guys be real quiet. There's something's out here, you know. And I told my brother, I said, hey, you know, open the door, you know. We were scared, you know. And I thought, well, maybe, you know, my husband, he's just home trying to scare us or something, you know. I was like, no, no, I don't think that's him, you know. And so we just listened, and then all of a sudden we see the doorknob moving back and forth like something's trying to open the door. And I was like, oh, what in the world? What is this? What's out there, you know? And so I told my brother, say, open the door, you know, open, let's see who it is, you know, and oh, he was, we were scared. I tell you, we all froze, you know, so we swung that door open and there's this thing standing there. I'm like, oh, you know, what? I was like, oh, what? You know, I didn't know what to say. I mean, I was just standing there looking at it. I mean, me and my brother just standing there looking at it.
Mhm.
And what I was looking at, what I had seen standing in front of me, in front of us, was something black and hairy, tall. It was covered in hair from head to its legs. And the color of it looked black. And it wasn't very muscular. It was like scraggy looking, kind of skinny looking. And it just darted off the porch. I'm like, what in the world? I looked at my brother and he's like, what the heck? And then I just looked in the kids in the back. What was it? What was it? You know, of course, you know, you don't want to scare your kids. So I
Mhm.
told them, I said, oh, it's nothing. Just, you know what? Let's just go to bed. And so we, but before that, um, I had, you know, I was talking to my brother about this, you know, I said, do you remember some of the, you know, you know, remember that we got to talk about it. Do you remember what, you know, we had seen at the door? He goes, oh yeah, because I remember. And there was one detail that, you know, I had forgot, you know, forgotten about that, to mention that I had, you know, I've been sharing this story for a long time. And that he goes, yeah, because I remember when we were looking at it, it darted off, you know, to the west, and it took off running. A few minutes later, and then my brother and he went out there and he, you know, running around the back, and we couldn't find it. It was gone, you know.
Mhm.
And so we went back in, and I said, you know what, you know, let's just go to bed, you know. So I turned everything off, you know, the lights and everything. I told the kids, let's go to bed.
Mhm.
Oh, about 20 minutes later, 15, 20 minutes later, this thing came back. Now, like I said, the dogs were underneath the porch. They
Mhm.
wouldn't come out for nothing. Even when I was standing out there, me and my brother were standing out there, the
Mhm.
dogs still wouldn't come out. They were crying and scared. So we go back in, and like I said, I turned everything off, locked up all the doors,
Mhm.
and this thing came back. And it did the same thing. You know, it's like it was trying to get into the house. Why? I don't know. And so this went on throughout the night. So I would flip on the light and it would take off and then it would come back again. So about I think it was at 3 o'clock, you know, it would come back. And I told us, I'm going to look out the window. So when the front of our home, our bedroom is facing to the north, so the window's there, so the porch is just, you know, where I can get a good view of it.
Mhm.
So I open the curtain and all I just see is this black figure standing at the door. Like, what does it want? What's it doing? You know, why is it trying to come in? So, like I said, it did it again. You know, I would um, flip on the light and it took off. You know, it would take off.
Mhm.
So I told my brother, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go drive around and see if I can find this thing. And so I had my kids and their cousin, they're one of the oldest ones. We locked them in the house,
Mhm.
and my brother he went with me, and we took off in the truck. Now when we took off down the truck, the dogs still wouldn't come out. But we got halfway down to the field, and I noticed one of the dogs started following us. I'm like, okay. So we go all the way down into the to the end of the road, and we headed west. And at the corner, north west of the corner of the field, there's big old brushes, bushes down in that corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I drive by, if I paid attention to the dogs, um, I probably would have seen it. The dogs turned around, they were crying and running back to the house. So I passed this thing. It was apparently was dug down into these weeds, these big old brushes there. So I passed it and I went driving up around behind the house, and of course I didn't see anything. So I got back to the house and I just locked up everything. And but this time I made sure I locked the screen door.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we were back at the house, we just went to bed, and this thing came back again. And like I said, to this day, I go back and think about it. What did it want? What,
Right.
what, what, what the heck, And so it came back at about three. Well, we got back to the house about 3:15, and then, like I said, about 3:30, it came back to the house again,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would take off and it would come back. So about daylight, finally, it starts breaking. So, and it was about 6 o'clock. Everything just stopped. This thing
Mm-hmm.
finally just left. And so my husband got back home about 7 o'clock in the morning. And so as soon as he pulled up, I told him what was going on. And of course, he didn't believe me. And I said, let's walk around the place, let's see if we can find any footprints. And so we walked around, and behind the mobile home, under my kids' bedroom, there was a footprint back there.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I didn't think of measuring it or taking pictures of it,
Right.
but I do remember what it looked like. And the um, the way I can describe this, it had three toes. So the movie, the legendary Boggy Creek, you know how the two young guys were down at the creek, and they seen this footprint had three toes. That's exactly what was behind our home. That's the exact same footprint that we found back there. And I tell you what, my husband didn't know what to make of it. He's just like, he was shocked,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, what in the world? And so we had told my kids' cousins that happened to live next door. We told the um, the family there, the husband and wife of my husband's um, cousins there, an
Mm-hmm.
aunt that lived there, and told them what had happened. They're like, oh no, it's probably just a skinwalker. And I'm like, oh no, that is not a skinwalker. So I'm like, oh no, I know what what we were looking at. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's actually running around here. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what happened. And after that had happened, it never came back around for a long time. Um, Now that we've moved from that plot, which is less than a quarter of a mile, I mean, just like right down the road. Now we reside on another field, and this area that we're at right now that we live on is very active area. We always have this thing. It comes runs across our field during the summertime. It usually sometimes people hear it yelling. A couple years ago, I had my daughter that came uh, and stayed for a visit from
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning on the east side of the house. So our bedroom's on the east side as well, and it was about maybe 2 in the morning. All of a sudden, we hear this loud slap against the house, and it freaked out my daughter, and she's like, "Mom, did you hear that?" She's yelling because we're all asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But I did hear it. I mean, it like shook the side of the house on the east side. Mom, did you hear that? I said, yes, I did. I did. I heard it. And so I grabbed my shoes, grabbed my flashlight, and we both take off running out there. And it's gone. It took off. Which way it went, I'm not sure. People ask why do they hit the side of the house? Because we've had
Right.
I've gotten reports of that. Why are they doing that? It's hard to say, hey, we're out here. They want you
Mhm.
probably want to come out, or they want to know what part of the house you're at, which lights come on. So okay, they're on this side of the house, or to see if anybody's home.
Right.
That's what we
Right.
gather. So
Right.
yeah. So yeah, we that was a pretty scary night. So we've had a
Sounds
lot
like
of yeah, we've had a lot of
wow.
scary nights out here.
How frequent are Sasquatch to that area? What's the frequency
How
that people see
frequent?
them? Yeah.
Oh, it could be almost every day, every
Mhm.
night that people hear it yelling, or they'll see it running, on their property or hanging around the property. It seems like
Mhm.
every other night, especially during the harvest time is when it's the most active. When I say harvest time, like I said, I live in an area where a lot of people farm, so
Mhm.
they raid their farms, their gardens. And then also we have an area up on the south of our home, on top of the hill there. A place where they call a nappy, natural culture place, where they
Mhm.
grow the potatoes, onions, corn, pumpkins, and all that stuff. And they raid those fields too up there. And
Very interesting.
come when they come through and they go up on from the north to the south, so they're always crossing our property to get
Mhm.
up there. And then when they're done, whatever, they always run. They every time they always run back down towards the river.
Okay. Makes sense.
So
Now,
the
as an investigator, what do you do when you go
Mhm.
out to investigate? If like somebody has a report, and they get a hold of you and say, "Hey, this thing was on my property," what steps do you take?
I take well, of course, I take some of the guys with me that are available. Also, I
Mhm.
take my camera,
Mhm.
and also we always usually carry a small weapon,
Mhm.
just in case. If we have to go walking down towards the river, where some areas is very thick brush. So
Mhm.
we always carry a weapon with us, just in case, just for protection. And
Mhm.
so, we go down and we talk. Of course, sometimes we do go at night, and we'll go hiking in those areas later. And I'm like, hey, seven, usually around 9 or 10 o'clock is when sometimes people will call, hey, this thing's out here. You want to come out here? So we'll go take off out there, and we'll meet out there, of course, and we'll go walk in those areas, take our flashlights and stuff like that, and check and see what we can find. If
Mhm.
footprints, if there's hair, some we usually collect those. Um, Try to get some vocalizations reported and stuff.
Mhm. Mhm. Have you been able to
Oh,
get vocalizations?
yes, I have. Yes.
What do they sound like to you?
Oh, there's sometimes they can sound like a woman that's screaming, that's in
Mhm.
pain or something. Very loud, very loud. Um, Sometimes they can. Some have like a really deep a growl.
Mhm.
It sounds really scary. Their growls. Um, I have. Let's see here. Some that do the whoops.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, their yells are they sound really scary, and I'm not sure how to explain it, because they're very loud sometimes. Probably the closest one I can think of is some of the vocalizations that the Sierra sounds.
Right.
Yeah, and some of those we get some that yell like that. That's very loud.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Now, listening to the
Some.
Sierra sounds, they struck me as sounding kind of Asian.
Mm-hmm.
in nature.
Mhm.
Do they
Oh
sound
yeah.
like in any language that you can kind of recognize or anything like that? I mean, maybe it's a Native American dialect.
D I haven't really noticed that. To me, it just sounds like they're just screaming,
Okay.
you know, real just loud yell.
Mhm.
Um, what what I need to do really is just to sit and really take a listen to the vocalizations that I have recorded. But the
Mhm.
ones that I have, this it just sounds like a lonely cry. Some of them,
Mhm.
like it's like a sad cry, you
Mhm.
know. But listen, really listening to that with the earphones,
Mhm.
it just sounds like a cry, yeah, a
Okay.
lonely cry.
Okay. Okay. And what about the hair samples? Because you mentioned fur samples.
I come across some hair samples, also one that had some skin that was attached to it. They did come back as what do you call that? Um, oh, I can't think of the name. Um, I had Miss Melba Kepton that had did a testing on that, and it came back as inconclusive.
Mhm.
They didn't know what kind of animal it was,
Mhm.
and so that did come back as a Bigfoot, I guess, a Sasquatch.
Mhm. 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 What is the biggest footprint that you have seen?
One that I've seen was 22 inches, 22, I think it was 22 and a half inches long,
That's
and
incredible.
that was behind our home in oh to the north of our home in the back, in
Mhm.
the field back there.
Mhm.
So that from our home to the river is about less than about maybe a quarter of a mile or less than a quarter of a mile.
Mhm.
So the San Juan River just runs behind our home, you know, about like I said, about less than a quarter of a mile.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you believe, like, with all the study that you've done on these things, do you believe that there is a pretty good sized population of them in that area, or maybe a few?
Um, it seems like there was quite a few of them because I would get reports of some that are brown, dark brown,
Mhm.
reddish brown, black, and one that's white, and
Mhm.
another one that's salt and pepper color, like a silverish color,
Mhm.
grayish and white mixed together. Um, so there for a while, you know, I've been getting a lot of reports. So I believe that it there for a while back in 2010 to 2018, there was quite a few of them. It
Mhm.
seems like it's kind of simmered down since 18 to probably now, but they are
Mhm.
still around, but not as I don't think not as much as there was quite a few of them,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm. Mhm. Now we've all seen the well, not everybody, but the Boggy Creek movie, and
hmm
that one actually made contact with the guy. Put his, I don't know if it was for movies, just for the movie itself, but the thought that they put its hand through the window to touch the guy when he was in the
uh-huh.
bathroom, which was kind of funny in a twisted sort of way. Have you had
Oh
any
yeah.
cases like yeah? Have you had any cases like that where it's been anything physical happen to anybody?
No, not where it reaches in the window, not yet. But it has it has left handprints on the window. But as far as like it actually reaching inside and touching someone, I have
Hmm.
not gotten a report like that, not yet. Just
Okay,
the one that it's walked into the couple's home. That's about it.
right. Right, because there is that one from years and years ago where the two girls were in the car and they had gone to the movies or whatever wherever they had gone, and they had pulled up into their driveway as she had the
hmm
window down and it had reached through, and they don't know if it was trying to hurt her or if it's just patted her head, but she ended up her forehead ended up hitting the steering wheel of the car. That was from a long time
Oh
ago though.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we haven't. I haven't gotten anything like that. But I had something happen with my sister.
Okay.
Um, back in 2010. I think it was either 9 or 10. Well, she used to be work with the Ignacio Police Department,
Mhm.
and so it was on a Sunday. Let's see if I can hurry, tell the story real quick.
Sure.
But she wanted to go to the mountains to go camping. Say, let's go see if we can get some vocalizations. So I'm like, okay. So getting up all my gear. So I'm waiting for her. She finally gets here. Almost about 7 in the evening. So it's just me and my sister that's going up into the mountains.
Mhm.
And so we take off, and in this area, I always like to go. And it's a place they call the Guy in
Mhm.
Arizona. So it's about maybe an hour and 15, 20 minutes from where I live. So we take off and we get to the area, and it's about 9 o'clock when we get there. So it's a very secluded area. It's very dark. So it's like in a valley. Okay. So I mean, mountains, of course, they have trees and all. And
Mhm.
so we get there, we pull in, and so we start gathering wood. And as I parked a little bit too close to the fire pit, so I get back in the ride and I move it. And so we're out, collecting wood, and it's all dark and everything. And so we get wood, and, we're starting to get the fire going. So I put my hand in the fire, and it was like still hot. I'm like, why is it hot? Then I remember, oh yeah, the guys, they were here Saturday night, so we get there Sunday, but the guys had already left Sunday morning. So I think like, why is it hot if they left this morning, and here we are 9 o'clock at night and this thing is still hot?
Mhm.
So I kind of just brushed it off, and so we hurry up collecting more wood and all. And then all of a sudden, my sister says, "Hey, did you hear that?" Of course, I'm way over here on the other side making all kinds of racket.
Mhm.
Stepping on dry twigs and leaves, and so of course you're gonna make noise. She
Mhm.
goes, something heavy dropped. She goes, sound like a big like boom boom. I'm like, no, I didn't even hear it. And so finally we're like, well, we just kind of brushed it off. So when we pulled in, there's absolutely no logs, no branches, nothing when I pulled in. Okay, so remember
Mhm.
that. So we get the fire going. By this time it's about 9:30. We get the fire going, and when I say we get that fire going, boy, we got that fire going so we could see around us. So
Mhm.
we made it bright enough so that we can see around us. If we see anything walking in or coming close, we can see it. So we're just sitting there talking. By this time, it's pretty much almost 10 o'clock. And we're
Mhm.
just sitting there talking and all. And about 10:15, I told my sister, it's getting a little bit chilly. So I go back to the Jeep there, and as I open up the back. So when I get to the back, I noticed something that's there that wasn't there when we pulled in. So I
Mhm.
told my sister, I said, hey, come check this out. I said, I know this wasn't here when we, pulled in. And it was a huge log. And so I told her, I said, I bet that's what you heard. This thing must have saw us and it dropped, that big boom, boom.
Mhm.
And she's like, she started kind of freaking out, she's getting scared, like, oh crap. And so I grabbed my hand and I said, oh, we'll be okay. We go back and sit back down. We're sitting there and we're just talking and all. And then all of a sudden, to the west of us, um, there's aspen trees all over. She goes, I see that thing is coming towards us. It's moving from tree to tree, but making its way towards us. So I get up and I flash the light. Of course, I don't see anything. So I sit back down. We're sitting there talking. She kept her eye down that area there, and she kept saying, it seemed like every maybe 15 minutes, she's like, that thing's coming. It's getting closer, says, I'm like, and I'm looking. So I get up and I walk down the road a little bit and flash the light. And of course, I don't see anything. And at the same time, I'm taking pictures. because you never know what you'll pick up.
Right.
So I'll go back and I sit down. So I don't see anything. By this time it's about almost 11 o'clock. We're just sitting there talking and all. And her eyes gets really big. She goes, "Sis, that thing is right there. It's just right there. I can see it." And so I'm like, "No," I said, "It'll be all right. Just calm down. And so, we're kind of like, I want to see how close this thing's going to get. So we're just sitting there talking, and all. And then she goes, "Oh my God, it's just right there." So I flashed the light. And
Mhm.
by this time, it was about 12 o'clock. And so when I flashed the light there, you know how aspen trees, their trunks are not very big, right?
Right.
And
Right. Right.
so this thing is standing along right parallel with the aspen tree. It's just standing, but you can't see the head, because it's trying to hide, but
Mhm.
you can see the back of this thing. It's standing when you can see the hair. This thing is like almost like it was nicely groomed.
Uh-huh.
Like it just the hair was long and the color of the hair was reddish brown. And so I get up that way and I started taking pictures and of course she's back at the fire and I'm looking and I'm like, holy crap. So and then all of a sudden you get this smell. This smell starts just, oh, it was bad smell. So this is the mistake where I made myself. As I was like, "Hey sis, do you smell that?" And she got a whiff of it. Oh, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have said that because she went into full panic. I mean, she just lost it. And she just on her, throwing stuff into the truck, throwing things. I'm like, "No, no, no, no." I said, "Listen, calm down." I said, "I'll get us out." I said, "But you got to calm down because they're going to know something's not right and they're going to move in faster." So that during the times that we were sitting there talking, we could hear branches breaking from the east, the west, and the south of us. So there was more than that one that we had seen. So basically, they were kind of closing in on us, around us.
Mhm.
And so my sister, like I said, she panicked. She just got so scared and throwing chairs and stuff in there. I was like, "Well, what about the fire?" I said, "Let's let the fire die down, then we'll go." Oh no, she's like, no. She was on her hands, her
Mhm.
hands and knees, and she's throwing dirt on there, on the fire. And I've never seen her that scared before. And I'm like, "Hey, just
Mhm.
calm down. I'm just trying to, get her to calm down because I don't want these things to like, hey, something's up. They're going to move in quick."
Mhm.
So we get the fire down enough for it's safe for us to leave it. And so we get into the car. Now, when we get into the Jeep, the road is just right in front of us. So I drive, onto the road, just like a little bug. You go over and you turn to your right. Now, there is absolutely nothing on this road. I mean, clear road, no tree trunks, nothing whatsoever. So we take off. I mean, I just barely step on the gas. All of a sudden, I feel something in the back hang on to the Jeep. And she thought I was, messing around. I'm like looking. I was like, no, I think I something's got the Jeep. Something's holding the Jeep back. So I
Mhm.
asked her, "Can you climb to the back and see what it is?" Oh no. She's like, "Heck no, I'm not. No, I'm not doing that." I said, "Well, you better get your gun ready. Get it ready. Is it just right here where you can grab it?" She, "Yeah, yeah, I got it." So I told her, I said, "Hang on." I said, "I'm going to back it up and see if I can bump it." So that's what I did. I didn't feel no bump or nothing. So we take off, said, "Hang on, I'm going to step on the gas." So we
Mhm.
take off again. And again, I feel that tug. And she's just like, "Cut it out. You're scaring me." I said, "Listen," I said, "Look at my feet. The gas is all the way down and my left leg is not on the brakes." I said, "I don't think these things want us to leave because this thing is holding the Jeep back." So again, I reversed it. I didn't feel no bump. We take off again. I told her to hang on. And so we take off. We kind of like inch each time forward, and
Right.
then all of a sudden I tug again. This is the third time it held onto the Jeep. And I said, you better be ready. Get your gun ready just in case, And she's like, she's really freaking out, And I'm like, just come. I said, I'll get us out. I'll get us out. Just calm down. So again, reverse and we take off. Now this is the fourth time we're taking off.
Hmm.
Man, you could just hear the tire spinning. It wouldn't let go of the Jeep. It hung on to the Jeep for a little bit. Then finally it let us go. Man, I hightailed out of there. Once we got out of this area, as we get onto the main dirt road, I could see one on the side of her. She said, because there's one on the side of her. I said, I know. I said, there's one on the side of you too. I said, they followed us all the way out back out of there to the main highway. So we had three of them. One that was on my side, one on her side. There was one in the back running. So when I hit the brake, we could see one in the back running right behind us too. So these things ran all the way out just before we got to the main highway, and then they disappeared. Yeah, that's what happened. That was pretty scary that night, And she's like, oh, I'm never going back out there, you know. But we did. She ended up going back out there just, to, I guess, she didn't want it to feel like uh, how can I put it? That it scared her, yeah.
Right.
But she just wanted to go. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the word here, but kind of like face her fears. That's why
Face
she wanted
fears.
to go back up there. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So this area we've gone. I still like to go back out there because we've always had activity out there. We've had some strange things happen out there that it, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like wow.
Hmm.
So we're pretty lucky that it didn't throw anything onto the Jeep.
Right.
We were with a group of people where this thing actually pushed over an aspen tree and it crashed down to the ground. And this was about, wow, what time was this? About between 9 and 10:30 at night when this happened. Yeah, so they very strong thing, they're very strong. If
Hmm.
they can push over an aspen tree like that, wow, that's just amazing.
They can hold back a car like a Jeep, like you're talking about. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You make me scared to go camping.
I'm sorry.
It's
just,
okay
just,
though. I
just be
mean,
careful.
yeah. Brenda, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
I learned so much. What's next for you?
I'm still going to be out there doing some investigations and stuff. Once we have good, nice, warm weather after we get out of this coldness, it'll be all right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, and just start putting out some new videos out there. Get those
Okay.
things rolling out there.
How can people how can people find you?
They can find me either on Facebook
Hmm.
or I do have a Facebook with our team page, which is New Mexico Shadow Seekers.
Hmm.
Um, and let's see, also have a YouTube channel under New Mexico Shadow Seekers, and there's some videos there as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. We'll have to get you on again.
All right,
Later on the year and talk to you some more about this.
that
Fascinating
sounds good.
stories.
Well, yeah, sure. Well, thank you for having me on. It was awesome. Nice
Well, thank
meeting you as well.
Nice meeting you too. You have a great one. Okay.
You too. All right.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye. Okay. Well, yeah. I That's why I wanted to have her on. She's got such interesting stories about about the Sasquatch and it's stuff you don't hear. This is the stuff you don't hear. This is the hit the floor, running investigators that are out in the field. This is the stuff you don't hear. Okay, anyway, tomorrow we'll be back at 6:30 p.m. Pacific with Nancy Matt, and we're going to be talking about ghost hunting, but we're going to be talking about ghosts that have regrets. How do you handle that? When you're in the field and you come in contact with a ghost that has regrets. So that'll be tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Also tomorrow night we will be broadcasting for the first time, hopefully, on TikTok. So it should be an interesting night to see how that goes as well. I want to thank all you guys for coming. And if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We are equal opportunity here at California Haunts Radio. We're just trying to get people to watch our show. And so far we've been, it's been working. It's been working. We're on our 4th year, 5th year doing this. Numbers are going up. Steady, steady, steady. Exciting stuff. Anyway, I want to thank you all, and I will see you tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll show you Brenda's contact information, and then I'm going to bug off of here. So here we go. And let me pull that up. Okay, websites are New Mexico Shadow Seekers Group. I'll be on Facebook. And, of course, the YouTube channel at New Mexico Shadow Seekers YouTube channel. All right, gang, I'll see you tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget, we have Coffee with the Ghost Hunter at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. Check that out at the California Haunts Meetup site. Have a great one, you guys.